was a dogfight. You had to dig deep. Give us your thoughts.
Surprise, surprise, motherfucker! The king is back!
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC 254, Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. We're going to talk two free plays that we have on this card. We are going to talk main event as well. We're coming off a 1-2 night on client plays last weekend. Little upset there, did hit on Carlos Condit. The other play that we did have was Justin Tafa plus 165. That one, going to the decisions, I thought we nailed that one as well. Would have been a profitable night. I had 3 client plays out of that were canceled. Had 6 of them all together. Ended up only having 3 that were active. So 3 ended up canceling out. Not too happy about that. Really liked a lot of plays on there. But this card now coming up on Wednesday. Not going to be having a show for that one. So actually already have the client plays up right now. Link in the description. Have 4 plays already loaded for that event. So take a look at that if you want. Also, I do have a 5% play that I will be releasing that has just been released on WagerTalk as well. So I have both packages up, Wednesdays and Saturdays, the McGregor fight. Take a look if you're interested. If you are not, we're going to talk 2 free plays for Saturday's card, Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, and one other fight we're going to discuss as well. So there you have it, and let's get right into it. So the first thing we're talking about here is we're going to talk the main event between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. Now this fight here is a second coming of the last time that they fought. In 2014, McGregor knocked him out. First round, very quick fight. A lot of bad blood going into that one as well. A lot of, Conor, predicting the rounds. This is kind of when a lot of that hype started building up for Conor when this fight happened. Ended up knocking him out, and that really kind of set sail into these other fights, and then started getting the title fights. Everything else kind of spiraled into that. So now they're fighting again. A great stylistic matchup for both of them. Great stand-up battle. It's going to be exciting to see. So we look at the line right now. The current line, you got Conor McGregor is a minus 290, and then you've got Dustin Poirier is a plus 225 coming back at the current lines that we're looking at right now. So like we always do, we're going to go over 3 past fights for each fighter and see what we see. See if the one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So what we're going to first do is we're first going to talk about Dustin Poirier. Now you got Dustin Poirier, the plus 225 dog. You've got 3 fights ago. He fought Max Holloway. Now this was a fight here where Max, moving up a division, was looking to try to get that opportunity to be 2-division champion, fight Khabib. A lot of things were kind of going on there. There's fallouts of other fights, and all these crazy things were kind of going on. But this was a fight here where I think really set a lot of things back for Max's future plans moving up in the division. Because when you're able to take a look at these 2 guys, I mean, Poirier and Max, you could just tell how much bigger Poirier was. I mean, Poirier is a big guy to begin with the division, but having Max, who is definitely on the smaller side, a little bit skinnier, was just really able to not be able to land the big shots. He just couldn't really push Poirier away at any time where Poirier was kind of coming forward and landing and pushing forward and working his boxing. Max has the volume. He's able to really kind of have that ability to kind of keep that pace. We just saw him against Calvin Kattar, what he did to him and how he just obliterated him with just great boxing, good movement, and heavy volume. Where Poirier has the power, and that was something that was very evident. You could see, again, he was doing nice footwork. Poirier's got some good movement, but he was never really scared of anything that was coming from Max. Max, a lot of it, again, good volume, not a lot behind it. Poirier fought extremely well that fight. Ends up going to a decision. He gets a nice decision there. I mean, I had it pretty easy for Poirier in that fight, but that was a fight that it maybe started saying Max, maybe he's not big enough. He's got to gain a lot more weight to kind of move up in those divisions, not just kind of tail in on the lower side of the division. He's kind of got to gain more weight, but he goes out there and Poirier beats him and gets decision victory. 2 fights ago, he fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. This was the fight that they were both fighting for, and this is one here, not much to really break down in my opinion here, because Khabib does what Khabib does. He went out there and, early on, Poirier's talking about this great takedown defense he's got, how he's going to make him pay on every time he comes in. And everybody has a plan when they fight Khabib. Everybody has a plan until you get taken down from this guy. And then you realize the power, the strength. Cormier talks about it a lot, about, for a guy his size, he really carries a lot of weight when he's on top of you and really can kind of keep that heavy top control, keep the pressure going. And you even saw going into the end of that second round, Poirier kind of, same thing, Khabib taking him down, getting him back up, working him, ground and pound. And you even heard Poirier when he goes to the corner, Poirier even said to his cornerman, I can't get this guy off me. So everything kind of goes out the window when you're fighting Khabib. This was a tough one there because he was overwhelmed from the beginning of this fight. He ends up getting choked out in the third round by a rear naked choke. Not a lot to get to say there because stylistically in this matchup here, Conor is not going to be doing anything that Khabib does. So you kind of can take a little bit away from that. The fight that I do want to talk about here is the Dan Hooker fight, which was his most recent fight. And really, if you have not seen this fight, this is a fight you absolutely need to go back and you need to watch because the way that these two guys fought, the brawl, the shots they were landing, and just, this was almost like one of those Rocky Balboa fights where neither guys really have any kind of defense, and then you've got, the other guy throwing haymakers, and then they kind of switch, and the other guy has no defense, the other guy's throwing haymakers. It was just an insane fight. But breaking this down overall, kind of how this went down, is really early on, I think the big thing that Dan Hooker was looking at was really kind of working those leg kicks. He wanted to kind of change it up a little bit. Both of these guys are known to be tough. They definitely have that brawler mentality. They're looking to go forward. They're not scared to be in a phone booth and kind of exchange in those situations. But early it was the leg kicks. It was Hooker figured out if I can slow him down a little bit and get him to worry about his legs, now I can kind of take a little bit of that power that comes from Poirier, where he's able to kind of utilize some of the footwork that he has and kind of slow him down. Again, a lot of guys do this, but it started to work early. You could see in that first round, really Poirier was already, you could tell, was slowing down. You even again heard the announcers kind of saying that he was biz-bing, saying, you could tell these are hurting. You could tell this is going to slow him down. He can't sit there and take this many of them over a 5-round fight, even over a 3-round fight, how badly this, it really just kind of, slows down your movement. And, Poirier tried to do the same thing. He kind of tried to, work back into the leg kicks back to him. So early in those first 2 rounds, you really got to, I really was impressed with what Hooker did. I really was impressed with how he was landing shots. The fact that, Poirier looked pretty hittable early on. And again, I think that's something that, it could be interesting going into Saturday night is that, Hooker has some good boxing, some good kickboxing, not the kind of hands that McGregor has. He's got, McGregor's going to have more power, more accuracy, his left hand, he's got the powerful left hand, and Dan Hooker was able to land on Poirier. And impressively, again, I think Hooker keeps getting better every fight. I think he keeps getting better, which is, you're seeing that, and it's going to be interesting when he's fighting Chandler on Saturday. But, there was a lot of things that kind of were going into that. So early on, it almost looked as if, Poirier is going to be in a lot of trouble. This is where, I thought the first 2 rounds were pretty much Hooker's, pretty much. And then going into the second, the third round and the fourth round, Poirier dug deep. Then he started pressuring, pushing forward, and then you even saw Dan Hooker looking for takedowns, which he said that, that's not something that Dan Hooker's going to be looking to do, but he was looking to do it because he was taking a beating. Both these guys, middle of the second round, were just both bleeding, taking a ton of damage. A huge output from each one. The pace of this fight was very high, which definitely says a lot about both of these guys and their cardio and their gas tank and that they can keep moving forward. But this fight here going into that 5th round, I had it as a 2-2. Really great fight, and pretty much Poirier was able to get that strong finish, look good at the end, landed some big shots, ended up getting decision victory here. But there you did see that, Poirier's hittable. He's definitely a hittable guy because he's willing to stay in the phone booth and trade and land. And I don't know if that transitions very well on Saturday night against Conor McGregor. So now on the other side, you've got McGregor, again, minus 280, 290, somewhere in there, current price. I'm not going to dive, you've got the one fight, against Eddie Alvarez. This was years ago, prior to the Floyd Mayweather fight, but this was one where he became the double champ. He went out there, dominated Eddie Alvarez completely. Eddie Alvarez, a tough guy, gritty, goes in there, not scared, same kind of thing, not scared to bang, get toe-to-toe, but when you're going to stand toe-to-toe and just exchange with Conor, especially then, a really focused Conor, he just obliterated Eddie Alvarez, ends up knocking him out in the second round, so not much to fully break down there. But there you have it there. He ended up going out there, getting a knockout victory. And then he did fight Floyd Mayweather, lost that. Not even going to discuss that. But then 2 fights ago, he fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. And now this was, again, the same kind of thing. Hard to kind of pull, depending on the strategy of what's happening in his opponent. this is not really something that I dove into. Of course, I know the fight. Again, Khabib goes in there. Early on, kind of looked good. Kind of felt that he was going to have some takedown defense, and then it just went to what Khabib does, taking him down, mauling him, beating him up. He did rock Conor at one point where he tried to fake the takedown through the overhand. These kind of things that he kind of worked through early in that fight, but ends up going into that fourth round, gets a submission victory, gets the victory over Conor McGregor, loses in that fourth round by submission. But most recently, he fought Donald Cerrone, and this is another where he just kind of obliterated him. This was Conor's comeback fight. Looking to this is going to be a critical fight for him. He's one of those fights where he's got to win. He can't come off 2 back-to-back losses and all this hype behind him. But he goes up there and he literally steamrolls Cerrone. I mean, it was a couple shoulder shots that he threw, some creative shots there. Busted up Cerrone early, threw a head kick, knocked him down, followed up with hard ground and pound, ends up being knockout victory in that first round. So there you have it there. So now, with all that being said, I think this kind of fight, obviously this is going to be more of a striking match. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, Poirier, would he look to clinch a little bit and change it up? Possibly, maybe slow down or throw Conor off a little bit. That's absolutely, possible. But his high-level boxing is really what he, is what he stands on. And that's going to be the boxing, the footwork, cardio, again, his big volume, utilizing his jab. He's got fast hands. That's really been his go-to overall. And also he's got good distance management as well, good control of distance, able to kind of utilize it, move around the cage. This is going to be a bigger cage. This is not, I should say the normal cage. But it's not going to be the smaller cage that's at the apex. This is going to be the normal size cage. So there's going to be more opportunity for both of these guys to move around. And then you've got on the other side, of course, you got McGregor, top level striking, terrific distance management as well. You've seen that through many fights. And even when he knocked out Aldo, the way he's able to kind of shift his body movement, throw a counter. And also the strong countering ability also is what he has. But with that all being said, I think the big thing here for me is the focus. And can you cap that? Can you really cap somebody's focus? Not really, but can you cap what he was doing prior to that? Compared to after the big money fight, then he fought Khabib, then he didn't fight, and all these things, and all these outside kind of crazy stuff that he was doing. It seems more of a focused Conor McGregor to all accounts. I mean, obviously, it's again got to take that with a grain of salt, but it seems that that's part of this. So that's obviously a very high part of this, is if he's just a focused Conor McGregor and he's realizing I need to rip through 3 fights or whatever it may be and get my legacy back, get everything kind of going back. Now the downside of Dustin Poirier and the way that he fights is the way he squares up, and he's very much known to kind of square up and throw these big hooks, and it's kind of allowing his opponent to have more space for him to attack. And I think that is something that really doesn't translate well for him going into Saturday night. Also the fact that he's been shown that he's very hittable. And I said a little bit in the Dan Hooker fight, but if you really take a look at some of these fights, and even some of his past fights that were just brawls, even with Max Holloway, again, Max Holloway's a sniper, but even prior to that, even going back to Eddie Alvarez, he is just extremely, extremely hittable. And again, it's not even the fact that he's just lacking the willingness to defend. He's willing to kind of take one to give one. And those are the kind of things, and those big shots and those big hooks that he throws, I think are absolutely spots where Conor is going to be able to kind of maneuver out, shift out, throw a counter, shift out, throw a counter. I think this is the kind of fight that it's going to allow the fight to really come to Conor early on in that fight. And the fact that Dustin they both like to fight in the same distance, the same space. And I think, again, that helps Conor McGregor. If you've got a guy that's going to at least, want to clinch, not even a takedown or the next level stuff that Khabib has, but, at least a clinch or change the distance. I mean, they're going to pretty much be standing at a kickboxing, boxing range the entire fight. That's going to help Conor completely. I think this is a spot where I think Conor can go out there, get the job done. I think in all aspects, I think he's going to mix it up. I think he's going to be able to put the pressure on him in certain spots. And again, when there is a firefight, and I think that Dustin sometimes gets pulled into that, even though he's technically really sound when it comes to his boxing, he gets pulled into these crazy brawls because he's not scared to do that. But I think that could be a downside to him in this spot here. So I believe that Conor McGregor will go out there, get the job done. So I have him to win in the main event at UFC 257. Also, the fact that I do like the under here also. The under 2.5 rounds, I think is a nice spot. That's around, roughly I've been seeing around -170, -190, somewhere around there. I've been seeing it, but I think the under is a good spot here too. I think both these guys are going to go out there and brawl, so I do like the under as a prop also that I may be sprinkling on as well. Now, the other one we're going to talk about, the other fight we're going to talk about is Arman Tsarukyan versus Nasrat Haqparast. Now, you've got Arman is around a -260. You've got Nasrat is a +205. Now, I'm not going to dive into this one completely, but just want to give the play here because it's one that it kind of stuck out to me, and I wanted to at least give it up as a free play and kind of, see what you guys think as well in this play. But you take a look at this here. I mean, to me, the first thing that stuck out is this line is way too wide for me. It's just way too wide. I don't think it should be that wide. I think it should be much closer than it's actually saying. This is a great value play here. That Nasrat is a fantastic fighter. He has shown that. He has shown knockout ability. He has shown great hand speed. He has shown good footwork. He has shown a lot of great things in the cage. And Arman too. Arman is definitely, he's shown some nice ability. He lost his debut against Makhachev, which is obviously that's not, Makhachev is very good. Then he won a decision, and then he ended up beating Davi Ramos in a decision as well. And Davi has really not that great of striking, high level grappling and ground game, but he's just had that inability to really get the fight there, which allowed Arman to kind of be able to pour that volume out and outstrike him and get the victory. But you've got someone like Nasrat who came in, had a 3-fight winning streak, lost to Drew Dober, and that is a fight where Nasrat came off a knockout victory over Silva, which I was actually at, and a great knockout, big knockout power. And then he went into that Dober fight, and almost like he hunted. It was almost like he was hunting for that knockout. He just kind of was feeling himself and said, I'm going to go out there and just blaze through this guy as well. It's almost like what Buckley did on this past weekend, where Buckley comes off some big knockouts. I mean, back-to-back big knockouts. Everyone's talking about him. And then he gets a fighter where he probably should be beating, and he's just looking for the big shot. I mean, that's not going to work at this level. There's certain guys, of course, you've got Ngannou and these crazy guys that can throw the big power, but you got to play defense a little bit. And this spot here, I think, is kind of what Nasrat did against Drew Dober, where he kind of didn't let the fight come to him. He kind of went out there, looked for the big shot, did not, really look to play defense, felt he was going to have better hand speed than him. Dober caught him, end the fight. I think that is really downtelling where this line, and I think it's an overreaction and really providing a ton of value here. After that, he came back and got a decision victory over Alexander Munoz. I think this is a spot where Nasrat at over +200 is great value. Now, Arman, I think, should be the favorite. Yes, I think, but I don't think in any aspect this should be a -260 to +205. I think that's just way too far of a spread. I think this is great value on Nasrat. I will definitely be sprinkling some money on this. I think it's absolutely worth it. So that's my other free play there that I just wanted to pop that one out at the end there. So those are my free plays for UFC 257. That is it. Really excited about these cards. Again, the Wednesday, that package is up on WagerTalk. Also, as well as UFC 257 package, including a 5% play, which I rarely actually give out. That's also on that package too. So both those are up there. Take a look. Definitely follow me at Khalil at the UFC. Subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, do all that great stuff. And there's a lot of capping. Nice time being off, but boy, having these three, a lot going on here. Really excited about it. Got to come back and nail some here this weekend and this Wednesday. So definitely, again, follow, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.